Hello, good day everyone. Today we are going to be doing CSEC Maths Paper 1 Section 2, which is Consumer Arithmetic, and we'll be starting from January 2025 to 2017. Alright, now the first question, the first year we're going to do is January 2025, Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, numbers 13 to 20. Okay. So the first question is, does item 13 and 14 refers to the following diagram which shows part of a shopping bill? So they said 4 grams of flour. We have the item, the unit cost. Unit cost means the cost per kilogram or per whatever, right? The total price cost price, right? So if they say 4 kilograms P and then 12.40. Then for 2 kilograms is $3.60 is for 1 kilogram. 7.20 would be for the 3. 8 kilograms of rice is Q and T. Okay, and then the subtotal is 4.40. $40. Give me 4.40. It's $40.40. They want to know what is P, Q, and T. Now P is gonna be found because we're finding per kilogram. In this case, it will be 12.40. Where is my right? It would be 12.40 divided by 4, which is 4 going to 12, $3.10. So we're looking. So A and C would be out of the question. It's either B or D. Right, then we want to know what is Q and T. Right, now the first thing we have to do, or what we can do, is find T by saying T is $40.40 is calculated by adding 12.40 plus 7.20 plus T would give you this. So if I want to find T, T would be equal to $40.40 subtract the combination of these two. Right, this is 7, 9. So this would have been $40.40 minus $19.60. Right? Let's subtract it for $40.40 minus 1960. Remember, you're not allowed a calculator, so you do have to do some type of working, right? 4 minus 6 cannot, so this will turn to 39, right? That's 4 and 4, 8, that's 80. And 9 and minus 9 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. So $20.80 is T. Right? So it could still be B or D. Right now, the one that we have to do is, because this is 8 kilograms, Q would say $20.80 divided by 8. Right? 8 could go into 20, not 6 times, so it can't be B. So it is D is the answer. So without even, without even answering or solving this completely, I can eliminate that 8 could go into 20 2 times, right? So I know that the answer would be D, right? And then let's look at this according to the bill. The VAT paid for VAT is, so they want to know VAT. They said VAT is 8%. So it would be 8% of $40. And so that's 8 over 100 multiplied by 40, 40. Right? This would be, so when you are multiplying decimals in general, we like to remove the decimal point. So it'll be 8 over 100 multiplied by 40, 40, well, 4040 over 1. When we find the answer, we'll shift back the decimal point, right? So you cross the 0, cross the 0. You say 2 into 8 is 4, 2 into 10 is 5. Right, then we multiply 404 multiplied by 4. 4 fours are 16. 1, 4 fours are 16. Right, so it will be 16 divided by 5. 5 could go into 16. 3 times remainder 1. 5, this is 2 times. Right, and then remainder 1. 5 going this 3 times. You're looking for something that has 3. The only one that is B. So most likely, not most likely, the answer will be $3.23. That's the only logical answer for this. If they ask you for the two, well, they didn't even ask you for the total amount. The answer would be $3.23. Right? And that is how you would do this question. Okay. Let's go to the next one, number 15. This is a very repeated question, so pay attention to it. At a bank, EC $2.60 is equivalent to $1. For every US exchange, EC is deducted. So what is missing from this question is right here supposed to have, or supposed to be telling you it's 10 cents. So let's read. For every 1 US exchange, 10 cents EC is deducted as a exchange tax. How many EC will Leon receive if he exchange 1,000 US? So from this now we can say US $1 is equals to, instead of saying $2.60, they say you deducting 10 cents tax, right? So it will actually be $2.50 EC now. And this is with tax being deducted. So if 1 US is this, then 1,000 US would be 2.50 multiplied by 1,000, which the only answer could be C. And that is how you would do this question here. Right, number 16. This is a next repeated question. A calculator which is marked at $120 is sold for cash at a 30% discount. How much change will Susan receive if she paid the calculator with a $100 bill? So we need to find out the discount is 30 over 100 multiplied by 120 over 1. Cross out that, cross out that, cross out that. That's $36 discount. So we need discounted price is equals to 120 minus 36, which is 4, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's $84. So if they want to know the change from 100, so 100 minus 84 is equals to 16. So we know that A would be your answer. This is a repeated question, guys, so pay attention to this as well. By selling a bag for 1,140, we shall incur a loss of 5% at the price which he should have sold the bag. At what price should he have sold the bag to gain a profit of 5%? So we want, this here is your selling price, right? And your selling price percent, because he made a loss, we know that would be 100, no, 95%. It would have been 100 minus 5, right? So if 95% is equals to 140, then 1% would be 1140 over 95. And therefore we want to find not 100%, but we want to find he makes a gain or a profit of 5%. So if he makes a gain or profit of 5%, that is, we want to know what is 105%. So 105% would be 1140 over 95 multiplied by 105 over 1. This is a bit of working, so let's take our time and do it. 5 could go into 95, 5 could go into 9, 1 time, remainder 4, 5 could go into 45, 19, then 21, right? Okay, so what we have to know is that 19 could go into this amount 60 times. So 19 into 19, 1, 19 into this is 60. We could have just said 19 by 6. 9 6 is a 54. 166 plus 4 is plus 5, sorry. 166 plus 5 is 11. So 19 into 104 is 6, and then 19 into 0 is 0. And then 21 by 60 is D. 1260. Now this was a lot of working, or you could have done this. Therefore, you find for 100%. You put 1140 over 95 multiplied by 100 over 1. You would have still gotten 20 here, 19 here, and then 60 here. 60 by 20 is 1200, and then you find 5% of that, which would have been 60. Right, and that is how you would have done this question here. Let's go to number 18. The cost of a machine is estimated to be decreasing at a rate of 10% every year. So for every year it decreases by 10%. If it's currently 6,000, what will be the estimate value of the machine after 2 years? So first off, we need to find out how much it decreased by. So after 1 year, for 1 year, it would be 90%, right? 90 over 100 multiplied by 6,000 over 1. This would be 9 sixes are 54, and you add your 2 zeros, right? And then after the second year, it would be 90%, right, of 5,400. It is decreasing, the estimate is decreasing at a rate of 10% of the actual cost, right? So the actual cost after the first year would now be 5,400. So after your second year, it would be 90%, which is after your 10% decrease of 5,400, right? Cross this out, cross this out, cross this out. 540 multiplied by 9 is 4,860. So the answer would be C. And that is how you would do this question. Don't say for 2 years it would be 20%. That's not how it goes. It decreases at a rate every year. Okay, so it would be 10%. You could say 10% of 6,000 would, well, 10% of 6,000 is 600. 6,000 minus 600 would give you this. And in your second year, the value of the item is now 5,400. So you're asking to find 10% of that. And that, when you find 10% of that value, you subtract it from 5,400, which would give you this. Alright, so let's go ahead and do number 19. A man pays 60 cents for every 200 meters cube of gas used, plus a fixed charge. If he pays $178.75 when he uses 5,500, nope, that is not 5,000, yeah, 55,000 meters cube of gas, how much is his fixed charge? This is a repeated question. If I am not mistaken, it was like $13.75, but I'm not 100% sure. So first off, we know 200 meters cube is 60 cents. That's what they told us, right? So 1 meter cube would be 0.60 divided by 200. And then we want to know for how much is 55,000. Right. So 55,000 meters cube would be 0.60 over 200 multiplied by 55000 over 1. Cross out this, 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 5, 2 remainder, 1, 2 into 15, 7, remainder, 1, 2 into 10 is 5. So now this is going to be 275 multiplied by 0.60. Again, when you're multiplying decimals, you just remove your decimal point and multiply. So it'll be 275 multiplied by 60. Which, when you are doing this, don't try to do it all at once. Think about it like this: 275 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 10. That makes it much easier. You just say 275 multiplied by 6 is 1650, and then you add an next 0 because it's multiplied by 10. But the initial question is decimal point, so you have to shift this 2 places. So you know that for 55,000 meter cubes of gas is $165. Right? Now, we have a fixed charge. It actually cost him this amount, so his fixed charge would be how much for the actual 55,000 meter cube of gas minus this amount. So it would be from this amount, which is $178.75 minus 165, 178.75 minus 165, and yep, the answer is $13.75. So I'm telling you, this is a repeated question. If you could remember the answer rather than do all this working, when you look at it, you'll see it's about in 3 or 4 more years. You won't have to do all this working, yeah, but you do have to remember the figures that they're telling you, because sometimes they like to change it up, right? But 19 is A. Right, then we have the compound interest of 12,000 for 2 years at 10% annum is. Now, for compound interest, there is a formula that you can learn, or you can do, you find simple interest, right, which is principal by rate by time all over 100, right? So that's 24, and you add 2 zeros, the simple interest. So the new amount will be 12,000 plus 12,000 plus 2,400, which is 14,400 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 2 all over 100 would be this. So it would be 144 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 10, which is equals to 2880. Right? They want to know the compound interest. The compound interest would be, alright, let's just do over this question. Excuse. So when you're doing this question, we can use the formula for compound interest. If you remember the formula for compound interest, that's if you could remember the formula for compound interest, we know amount, this is something that you have to remember. Amount is equal, say, principal by 1 plus r over 100 to the power of n. So your amount, or the amount after compound interest, would be 12,000 by 1 plus 2 over 100. Sorry, no, 10. 10 over 100. All to n is the number of years. So then this would be 12,000 would be, open bracket, 1 and 1 over 10 to the power of 2, because 1 plus 10 over 100 is 1 and 1 over 10, right? And that to the power of, so this would be 12,000 multiplied by 1, 10 is 10, 11, 11 over 10, all to the power of 2, which would be 12,000 multiplied by 11 11s is 121 over 100. Alright, this is what it's going to be. So you are multiplying, cross out this, so you'll get 120 multiplied by 121. 120 multiplied by 121 is equals to 14,520. Your compound interest is going to be a difference between your principal and your amount. So it would be 14,520 minus your principal of 12,000. You'll get 2,520, I believe, and that would be B. This is a lot of work, and especially to multiply. If you could remember the formula, you can do it like this. Or you can say find the simple interest for 1 year. So it would be principal 12,000 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 1 all over 100. Cross that out, you're going to get your simple interest for the after the first year is going to be 1200. So your new amount is now going to be 12,000 plus 120 plus 1,200, which is 13,200 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 1 year. This is after the second year over 100. Cross this off. You'll get 1320. So now my compound interest would be the addition of my two simple interests, which is 1200 plus 1320, which is 2520. And that is how you could have get. This is the next way to do it. If you're doing your simple interest, the only thing that you have to remember is the formula for simple interest is principal by rate by time all over 100. And if you're using compound interest, you do not put the total number of years, you do it for each year. And that is how you would do this question. Okay, so now we're going to look at May, June 2020. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, and Consumer Arithmetic is number 13 to 20. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, so number 13, a dress which costs 180 is being sold at a discount of 10%. The amount of the discount is, so they want to know discounted price, so discount, hold on, let me just get my pen. My discount is 10 over 100 multiplied by 180 over 1, cross out, cross out, cross off, $18, it'll be C. If EC is $2.50, is equivalent to 1 US. So 250 is 1 US. Then what is $25? Alright, so what you could have possibly did is take these amounts and multiply by 250 to see which is $10. Right? So these are your US dollars. You convert your US. So it'll be easier to convert US to EC rather than convert EC to US. We know 1 US is 250. So you say 5 US would be 5 by 25, which is not 25. Or we could say 10 US would be $2.50 multiplied by 10, which is $25. Right? So using the answers, you could have just converted to EC to get your to get the answer that you have for number 14. Number 15, for every amount to every sale amounting to $1, a salesman is paid 10 cents as commission. His sales for a particular month was 1,020. How much commission was he paid? So they are basically telling you that his commission is 0.10 out of 1, right? Which is basically, if you convert that to a percentage, that is 10% is his commission. So if we want to find his commission, it is going to be 1020 over 1 multiplied by 10 over 100, right? That is 102. So the answer would be C. And that is how you would do this. Right. Number 16. A man's basic wage for 40 hours is 160. He is paid an overtime at the rate of time and a quarter, or 1 1/4, times the hourly rate. If he works for 6.5 hours overtime in a certain week, his wage for that week will be. So first off, let's find out how much he's paid for 1 hour. 1 hour is going to be 160, which is his total wage, divided by that 40, which we can see is $4, is for 1 hour. Alright, so 1 hour of overtime is going to be 1 1/4 multiplied by 4, which is 5 over 4 multiplied by 4. So 1 hour of overtime, he's earning $5. Right? So if he works for 6.5 hours of overtime, it would be 6 to 12, 12, 13. 13 over 2 multiplied by 5 over 1, right? Which is 65 over 2, which is 62 could go into 6, 3, hold on. No, it's time and a half, so that multiplied by 5, yeah. 5 3s are 15, 1 5 is right. 2 could go into 6 3 times, 2 could go into 5 2 times, so it's $32.50. Alright, so we are saying 160 plus 32.50 would give you his total wage, which is D, $192.50. This is our next repeated question, right? Number 17, a television set costs $3.50 cash. When bought on hire purchase, a deposit of $35 is required, followed by 12 monthly installments of $30 each. How much money is saved by paying cash? So first off, we have to see um what is his higher purchase price. His higher purchase price would be the down payment plus how much is it, 12 monthly installments. So for 12 months it will be 12 by 30 is equals to 360 plus that $35 of down payment, which would be 395. And if you pay cash, the cash price is 350. So how much he would save? It would be 395 minus 350, and we can see that he's saving, that's $545. So the answer is D. Right? At the end of any year, car's worth 5% less than what it is worth at the beginning of the year. If a car was worth 9,500 in December 2021, then its value in January 2021 was, so they're telling you this is how much the car is worth at the end of the year. So we have already taken out that 5%. So we know that 95%, that is how much the car is after the 5% is reduced. After the 5% is removed, is equals to 9,500. This is after the year, right? So 1% would be 95 over, so that is, we know for 1% is $100. We want to know how much it is worth at the beginning. This is 100%. That is 100 multiplied by 100. So the car was worth $10,000 at the beginning of the year. Understand? Let's look at number 19. A loan of 15,000 was repaid in 24 monthly installments of 750. The total interest as a percentage of a principal was. So first off, let's see how much. So the loan is this amount. Let's find out how much he has to pay. So for his 24 months, it is going to be 750 multiplied by that 24. Right? 750 multiplied by 24. You just say 75 multiplied by 24 and then add a 0 to it, okay, guys? Which would be 18,000. Right? So that means the interest was 18,000 minus 15,000, which we can see was 3,000. They want to know what is the interest paid off here. So the interest is, remember, now guys, if you remember to find what fraction it is over off. Is your interest, which is 3,000, and what they say, off the what? Principal. What is your principal? The loan. 15,000, sorry. You want to find percentage, you multiply by 100 over 1. Cross this off, 3 into 3, 1, 3 into 15 is 5, 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 100 is 20. So the answer is D. Last question for May, June 2024. At a sale, a discount of $3 off the original price. This is a repeated question as well, guys. Was offered for each book. Daniel was paid $46 for 2 books that he had the same. Hold on. Let's read that over. Number 20 says, at a discount, at a sale, a discount of $3 off the original price was offered for each book. So for one book, you get $3 off. Daniel paid $46 for 2 books that had the same price. What is the original price for one book? So we know this is for 2 books. So for one book, excuse me. So if 2 books, and they said that the 2 books is the same, right? So if for 2 books is equals to 46, then for one book would be 46 divided by 2, which is equals to 23. Alright, then they're asking you for the original price. This is after your discount. So before your discount would be $23 plus how much money are you getting off 3, which is 26. So it's D, and that is how you do this question. Right, and that is the end of May, June 2024. Let's look at January 2024. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, number 13 to 20. Right, including sales tax, how much will be saved when a video which costs $12 is sold at 20% discount? So they're asking you how much will be saved. So basically they're asking you for the discount. Alright, so 20 over 100 multiplied by 12 over 1, 20 into 21, 20 into 100, 5 into 12 is 2. You're looking for 2, you don't even need to solve it, you know it's C. Alright, so you could say 12 divided by 5, and you can see that it will be $2.40. Alright, if EC $2.50 is equivalent to 1 US, then 20 EC is how much US? So again, remember I told you guys, and that we had a similar question to this. I told you guys it is better to convert the US to EC. So take these answers and convert it to EC and see which one is 20. So we know that 1 US, we know 1 US is equals to $2.50. So you say 5 US would be $2.50 multiplied by 5, 25 by 5. You'll get 25 by 5 is 125. You add a 0 and you carry it back 2 places. It'll be 1250. Right? So it's not A. Then 8 US would be $2.50 multiplied by 8. Right? 25 by 8 is 200. You add a 0 and you carry it back 2 places. So the answer would be B. Right? And then you could also remove C and D, because 50 US and to 80 US is definitely not going to be something like 20 US. It's too little bit, right? Number 15, the cash price of a television set. We just noted this question. This is where it was, I believe, $45. Yeah, we just noted this question. A cash price for a television set is $350 when hire purchase is deposited $35 and follow 12 monthly installments of $30. We did this question just now and we got the answer to be D. So the answer for this was D, 45. Alright, a company pays. Ooh, this one is a good bit of work in it, guys. I'm just letting you know. I remember this question and it was a bit of work in. A company employs 20 persons as a gardener and clerk. The mean daily wage of all employees is $22.40. If each of the gardeners is paid $26 per day, then the daily amount paid to each of the 8 clerks is. So first off, we want to know the total, because they told you it's 20 employees, 20 persons as a gardener and clerks. They didn't tell you how much, they just told you there were 8 clerks, so the rest is obviously gardeners. Alright, so the mean daily wage of all employees is $22.40. So we can find the total. Total is your mean multiplied by number of items, in this case number of employees. So it would be 2240 multiplied by 20, and when you multiply it, you're going to get $448. Again, when you multiply, you could say it's 22. Think about it like this. Don't try to do all of this. Remember, this is 2240 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 10. It's easier to do it like this. 2 multiplied by this multiplied by a 10 would give you this, and then you carry back your decimal point 2 places. Right? This is an easy way to do it, especially if you're trying to do it very quickly. Right? Then we know that each gardener, so the number of gardeners is going to be 20 minus 8, which is equal to 12. How I minus 8? They told you there are 8 clerks. Yeah? So now we're going to say 12 multiplied by 26, because that's how much each gardener is getting. each of the gardeners is paid $26 per day. So 12 by 26, right? Plus 8 multiplied by some number. We don't know the sum number. This is how much each clerk is getting, would be $448. Now 12 by 26, if you want, you can say 12 by 2 and then 12 by 10. Right? So 12 by 26 is equals to 300. So this is how I do these 2 by 2, the 2 digits by 2 digits fast, right? I say it's 26 by how many tens? 1 10, so that's 260. And then 26 multiplied by 2 ones would be 50. 6 twos are 12, 2 twos are 4. Right, so 52. And when I add this up, I know when I'm multiplying this, it's going to get $312. Alright, so 312 plus 8 by how much each gardener is each clerk is getting will give you 448. So I know my 8 clerks would be getting the difference between 448 minus 312, which is equal to 126. So if 8 of my clerks is getting $126, then one of my clerk would be 126 divided by 8, which is equals to $17. And that would be C. And that is how you would do this question. Okay, number 17. Right, number 17, let's read the question. Number 17 says a man's annual salary is $45,000. His tax-free allowance is $13,000. He has to pay a tax of 20% on his taxable income. His tax payable is, first off, we want to know how much we are being taxed on. His taxable income, right? That is how much you're being paid, how much tax you're paying on your taxable income would be 45,000. That's how much he's totally getting minus his tax-free allowance of 13,000. When you subtract this, you're going to get 32,000. This is how much he's being taxed on this amount. So let's find out. The tax is 20%. We want to find 20 over 100 multiplied by 3,000, 32,000, sorry. Cross that off, or you could say 2 into 2, 20 into 21, 20 into 100, 5. 5 into 3 to 6, remainder 2. 5 into 20 is 400. So his tax, how much is he paying tax? 6,400, and that is how you would do this question. Right, a salesman sells a car for 10,500. If he's paid a commission of 5% for the first 10,000 and 8% for the remainder, then his total commission is. So let's find the commission. His commission for the 5% is 5% of the 10,000. Yeah, 10,000. Cross out this, cross out this. So for his first 10,000, you're getting 500. And then we get 8% of the remaining. His total sales was 10,500, so his remaining would have been $500. 10,000 minus this, the remaining is 500, so it's 8% of 500. 8 fives are 40, so he's paying $40 for the 8% of the remainder. So his total commission would be 500 plus 40, which is $540. And that is how you would do this question. Number 19. We did this question already. A man's basic wage is 40 hours for the week, 160. He's paid 5. Well, now they changed this up a little bit. They told you how much he's earning for the hour. If he works 6.5 hours overtime in a certain week, his wage for that week is. Now, if you guys remembered, right? It was $192.50, right? But I guess we could work it out if you want. We know it is 6.5 times 5, which is $32.50, I believe. $32.50. This is from my last working, okay, I'm remembering. His total income, or his total wage, I should say, would be 160 plus 32.50, which was $192.50. Now, even if you remember the answer, guys, please just check it over very quickly. This question is a repeated question. We said it was 30% discount, and we said 30% of this was $36, right? And she would have had to pay $84. If you recall, the cash price would have been $84. So the change would have been $16. $100 minus 84 is 16, and that is how you would have gotten this. This is why I'm saying some of these questions are very repeated, right? And that would be the end of January 2024. Let's look at May, June 2023. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, numbers 13 to 20, and at EC Bank, it is equivalent to $1. For every $1 change, you're getting 10%. We did this question already. You're getting a 10 cents deducted. So we said that for 1 US, it was $2.50, and they want to know what is 1,000. We know that the answer is 2,500. A dress which costs 1,800 is being sold at a 10% discount. Alright, the amount of the discount is 10 over 100 multiplied by, alright, cross out this, which is 180. Alright, 7, they want to know the simple interest. Simple interest is principal by rate by time all over 100, which is 700 multiplied by rate of 5 multiplied by time all over 100. Cross out this. 7 5s are 35, 35 multiplied by 3, 5 3s are 15, 3 3s are 9 plus 1 is 10, so it's 105. So A is your answer. An article bought for 125 was sold for 100. The loss as a percentage of the cost prices. So you see, is loss, off is of the cost price, and they want as a percentage over 100 over 1. Your loss was 25 over a cost price of, the article was bought for 125. So over your cost price, which is 125, sorry, multiplied by 100 over 125 into 25, 125 into 125 is 5, 5 into 5 into 100 is 20, so the answer is A for this question, and that is how you would do number 16. Right, let's look at this, number 17. The cash price of a television. Oh, this is a repeated question. We know how much was saved was $45. Yeah, we said the cost price, the higher purchase price was 35 plus 12 by 30. Right? When we multiply that, we got it was $3.95. Right? And then 350 minus 3.95 is 45. Right? If a simple interest of 900 on 4% per annum for T years is 108, what is the value of T? Now you could, if you don't know the answer for T, or if you don't know the formula, I should say, if you don't know the formula for time, time is equal to simple interest by 100 over your principal by rate. You can simply, instead of remembering this, you can multiply 100 by 4 by each year to see if you get 108, and that is how you'll get your answer. But I'll use this answer. T is equals to your simple interest is 108 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 900 multiplied by 4. Cross out this. 9 into 9, 1. 9 into 108 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So the answer is B. Or you could have just said 3 multiplied by 900 multiplied by 4 all over 100. Sorry, 3. Cross out this. 9. 4 3s are 12. 12 by 9 is 108, and that is how you could have done it. Right? Using the formula. Because we have the answers, you have the option of doing that, right? No, this is a different question. At the end of each year, car is worth 5% less than it is worth at the beginning of the year. If the car was 19,000 in December 2021, then the value of the in January 2021. So they want to know what is the value before that value that they give you of 19,000 is after that 5%. Alright, so we could say that the value of this car is now 95%. So because original percentage is always 100, it is decreasing by 5%, so we know after the year it was 95%. 95% is this. 1% would be over 95. And then 100%, because they want to know the original price, that is before any decrease, would have been over 95 multiplied by 100 over 1. You say that 5 into 95 is 19. 5 into 100 is 20. 19 into 19, 1. 19 into, this is 1,000. 20 by 1,000 is 20,000, and the answer would be B. A man regular pay is $8 per hour up to 40 hours. Overtime is twice the payment of regular time. If he is paid 480, how many hours of overtime? So let's find his overtime is paid twice the amount. So that's 2 by 8 is $16. Right? We know that his regular or his basic wage would be 8 by 40, which is 320. So his overtime wage is 480 minus 320, which is 160. Right? So number of hours overtime is 160. That's how much overtime he's earning divided by 16, which is equals to 10. So 10 hours of overtime would be the answer. And that is the end of May, June 2023. Let's look at January 2023. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, numbers 13 to 20. Okay, let's look at this question. Number 13 says for every 100 dollars sale or part thereof. So if it is they said part thereof, okay? So anything that is a part of 100 would be you're getting a $10 commission, right? A is paid $10 as commission. If a sale for a particular month was 1,020, how much commission was he paid? So we know that how many hundreds can we get in 10,020? Right? We know that you can get 1 second. Yeah. The number of hundreds in this numbers of hundreds is equals to 1,020 divided by 100. So you're getting 10.2. Now he's being paid 10. So $10, 10 by 10 is 100. And then he's being 10 by 10 is 100. And then he's also being paid an extra $10 for part thereof because point 0.2 is part of 100, right? So you have to plus 10 there. So he's being paid $110. So the answer would be D. Alright, number 14, simple interest of 600 for T years at 5% annum is 120. Then the value of T is, now if we remember, T is your simple interest by 100 over principal by rate. What is the simple interest? 120. We're looking for 120 by 100 but divided by 600 by a rate. So the answer is B. Alright, then number 15. This is a next repeated question. We just now did it. They said $2.60 is equivalent to 1 US, but if you're using the bank, you're being deducted 10% tax, and they want to know how much is 1,000 US. It's 2,500. We just now did this question as well. A calculator was marked at 120, is sold for cash of 30%. We know that when we found the cash price of the calculator was 84, and the change you get from $100 bill if it is 84 is $16. So it's A. We did this question as well, and I told you guys They asked you for the fixed charge, so I won't be doing over this. The answer was 1375. If you guys recall, we found out the total price for 55,000 meters cube was, I believe it was 150. Yeah, $150, and we subtract 150 from this amount, and we got 1375, right? A plot of land presently valued at 12,000 appreciates, so that means it increases in value at 2.5% per annum. What will be the value of the plot of land after 1 year? So they basically want to find out how much 2.5% is. No, if it appreciates, it's increasing in value. So let's find for 2.5% of 12,000. Cross that out, cross that out. This is 2.5 multiplied by 12, 0. Now, when you're doing this question, this is how I'm going to do it. 25 by 12 by 10, right? 12 by 25 is equals to, I believe it's 48, but let me just check. Sorry, 12 by 25 is 300. You add a 0, so it's 3,000. Then we have to carry it back one place. So this would be, because it's one decimal place, it's $300. Alright? Yeah, that's correct. Then after that, we are going to find out. So the 2.5 is 300, so it increases by 300. So 12,000 plus 300 is D. If it depreciated, then you would have to subtract, okay? Let's look at 19. A loan of 8,000 was paid back in 2 years in a monthly installment of 400. The interest of the loan as a percentage was, did we do this question? No, we did something similar to it. Alright? So let's go ahead. Okay. First off, the interest. So if it's for 2 years and it's monthly installments is 400. So for the 2 years, which is 24 months, 24 months would be 400 multiplied by 24, which is 4 fours are 16, 4 twos are 8, plus 1, 9, 9,600. Right? The interest charge would be 9,600 minus 8,000, which is 1,600. Right? So they want to know what is the interest. The interest on the loan as a percentage was, so the interest would be 1,600 over the loan, which was 800, is over of is 1,600 of what? Your loan. Multiply by 100 over 1. Cross out these two zeros, cross out these two zeros, do this here, 8 into 8, 1, 8 into 16, 2. So your answer would be 20%, and that is how you would do this question. Alright, an article bought for 125 was sold for 175. They want to know the profit as a percentage of the cost price. So that would be, the profit would be 50. So they want to know the profit as a percentage of the cost price. The cost price was 125. Multiply by 100 over 1. You could say 25 into 50 is 2, 25 into 125 is 5, 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 100 is 20, 2 by 20 is 40, so the answer is B for this question here. Alright, and that would be, the end of January 2023. Let's look at May, June 2022. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, 13 to 20. Alright, address cost 180 is being sold for discount. This is a repeated question. The discount is 10%. 10% of 180 is $18. Right? We could do 180 over 1 multiplied by 10 over 100 is 18. The cost of a refrigerator is $18.50. If the sales is 5%, if A sales tax of 5% is paid on the cost price of the refrigerator. The buyer who purchased the refrigerator will, by cash, will pay. Now, this question, although it's a lot of working, we saying there's a sales tax, so there's an increase in value. We're looking for values that are more than this because it's cost this, and if a sales tax is 5% is paid on the cost price. So they want to know what will be the how much the refrigerator is totally costing. It will cost more. So it cannot be A because 1350 is less than this. It can't be 1754.50 because it's less. 1845 is less than this. The only logical answer is D, and that is how you do number 14. Right? So instead of working it out, you just need to understand that the only possible answer this could be is one that is more than. Right? Number 15, if a salesman sells a car for 11,000, if he is paid a commission of 4.5 for the first 10,000 and 7.5 for the remainder, then the commission he receives. So first off, let's find out the remainder. The remainder would be 10,000, sorry, 11,000 minus 10,000, which is 1,000. So he's being paid 4.5% of the 10,000, and then he's being paid 7.5% of the 1,000. Crosses off, crosses off. 4.5 by 100 is 450. And then you carry back the 0, so it's $45. Crosses out, crosses out. This would be 75. 45 plus 75 is 5 and 5 is 10. 7 and 4 is 11 plus 1 is... Hold on. I know it was 750. It's supposed to add two zeros and carry it 1. So it would have been this. I don't know what I was thinking there. It would have been 4,500 and then you carried place 1 place. So that is how you get 450. Right? And this is still 75. 450 plus 75 is 525. And that is the answer for this. Number 16. The value of a plot of land is 18,000. Land tax is charged at 0.70 cents per hundred value. What is the total amount of the tax paid? So first off, we need to find number of hundreds. Number of hundreds in 18,000 is 180, I believe. So for every hundred, so for 100 is 70 cents. So for 180 hundreds, it will be multiply this by 0.70, right? Which is 18 multiplied by 10 multiplied by, don't put 70, put 7, right? Actually, yeah, put 7. Now, when you're multiplying this, you multiply. Now, please remember, if you are putting um 0.7, that means you're only carrying back your decimal place 1 place, okay? 18 by 7, 8 sevens, 49, 56, right? My pen. 8 sevens are 56, 1 7 is 7, plus the 5 is 12, right? And then you add your 0. And how many places are we going back? Not 2, because remember, you put multiply by 7, so you're carrying it back once. So the answer is B, 126 for number 16. Number 17, a man basic wage for 40 hours a week is 160. We did this question. It was 192. He is paid an overtime of 1 1/4 times his hourly rate, and we found his hourly rate to be $5. If he works 6.5 hours, which was 6.5 by 5 was how much? $32.50. So it was 160 plus 32.50, which was $192.50. Right? This question, number 18, is a repeated question as well. Let's look at it. At the end of the year, car is worth 5% less than what it was worth at the beginning of the year. If a car is worth 95,000 in December 2016, then the value in January 2016 would be 10,000. If you guys recall this question, we did this, right? And they didn't use 2016. I believe that they use a earlier year or something. So, right? And that is how you would do this question here. Number 20, a loan of 8,000 was paid for 24 monthly installments of 400. The rate of interest was. We did this question just now. Let me just make sure. I think the answer is 20%. Right? We said 24 because instead of 24, they said 2 years. We know that for 24 months, it was 9,600. So his interest was 9,600 minus 800, which would have been 1,600. And 1,600 over 8,000 multiplied by 100 over 1 would have given you 20%. So that's D. Right, so if you guys recall the working that we did before, I don't have to do over this, right? This is our next repeated question, but they said the at the at a sale, each book was marked at $3 off the original price. Daniel paid $46 for two books that has the same sale price. What was the original cost of one book? They want to know the why did I hold on that for two books that had what was the original cost? We did this question already. We saw that for each book it would have been $23, right? And that was after you got a $3 off. So they want to know the original price. If it was 23 after discount, then before discount it would have been 23 plus 3, which is 26. And the answer for this would have been D. Right, and that's how you would have done this question. That is the end of May, June 2022. Let's look at January 2022. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, numbers 13 to 20. Let's look at the first one. If $2.50 is equivalent to $1, then 20 of this. Now, we did this question already. It's not this and it's not this, right? And it was not this because 5 by $2.50 would give you like $12.50 or something. So, right? So it would have been B. At a store, 3 cents on every dollar is spent on at a store, 3 cents on every dollar is spent is charged as a sale tax. How much is paid as a sale tax of a costume which costs? Right. So we know that your tax is 3 over 3.03, 0.3 over a dollar, right? Multiplied by 100 over 1. That is 3%. Right, so we want to know what is 3% or 3 over 100 multiplied by 196 over 1, right? When you find this out, they want to know how much is paid sales tax. It cannot be this and cannot be this, right? 3 over 100 multiplied by 196 is equals to $5.88. So $5 and some cents, right? And that would be your answer for this question here. Number 15, the television price. Oh, this one we already. This is a repeated question. It's $45. But guys, even though I am saying that it's a repeated question, you still need to make sure, right? Your deposit is 350. 12 by 30 is 12 by 30 is 3600 plus 35. Send me 3600. $360 plus 35 is 395. 350 minus 395 is 45, right? This one here is our next repeated question. The company employs 20 persons as a gardener and clerk the mean daily wage for all employees was $22.40. If each of the 12 gardeners is paid 26, then the 8 clerks were paid, oh, was it $17? I believe it's $17. Well, $17. Right? You had to find your total. I'm going to take the answer that I have here and I'm just going to put it in. Right? We found the total and then we multiply 2240 by 20 and then we got 448 and 448 was 26 by 12 plus 8 by some value that each clerk is getting, and when we found that out, that some value was $17. Right, let's look at number 17. Delano invests 5,000 for 2 years in an investment scheme. The investment earns a compound interest of 8% per annum. What will the amount of Delano investment at the end of 2 years? So there are two ways that you can do this. This is compound interest, by the way. You can say your amount is equal to your principal by 1 plus your rate over 100 to the power of n. Right, so your amount is going to be the principal, which is 5,000 by 1 plus 8 over 100 to the power of how many years? 2. Right, so that's 5,000 by 1 and 8. What 8 over 100 is? 8 over 100 is 2 over 25. 2 over 25 to the power of, I do not like this, to the power of 2, right? What you could say is 5,000 by 1.8, no, 1.08 to the power of 2. Still don't like that, right? Yeah. To the power of 2 is, I don't, I'll just be honest, I don't like this method. 5,000 multiplied by, this is 1.1664. This is 5 multiplied by this, which would give you, multiply this by 5,000, and you'll get D as your answer. Which I don't particularly like this question, especially to the power of is very tedious to do in your head. The next way is your simple interest method. You find your compound interest for your first year by saying 5,000 by 8 by 1 all over 100, which is cross out this cross out. 8 fives are 40, so that's 4,000 for the 400, sorry. 400 for the first year. So your compound interest for your second year is your new total is going to be 5,400 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 1 all over 100 is this 54 by 8. 54 by 8 is 432. So the new amount is going to be 12,000 plus 432. Sorry, no. They ask you what is the amount, what will be the amount of his investment. It would have been, no, it's not 12,000. It would have been um 5,000. Erase this. It would have been, the new amount is your 5,000, which is a simple interest, plus your compound interest for 2 years, which is 400, plus 432, which is 500, 5,000 and $5,832. And that is the next way you could have done it. This way is much easier. You don't have to do that much calculations rather than using the formula. If you had your calculator, I would say go ahead and do the power of. It's very simple to do it on your calculator. However, if you have to do this in your mind, it's best to do it this way, right? A car presently valued at 12,000 depreciates at a rate of 10% per annum. What will be the value after 1 year? That is 10. That is 10% of 12,000. So first off, the value of the car, they want to be, what will be the value of the car? The value of the car after that 10% is 90% of 12,000. 9 twelves is 108. And then you add two zeros, so it would be A is your answer for this question. Right, then let's look at number. This is a repeated question. His wage is going to be D. Right? A salesman sells. This is a repeated question. It was first we had to find 5% of 1,000 and then 8% of 500, and it was, I believe, the 5% of 1,000 was 10,000. Sorry, was 500, and then we had to find 8% of 500, which was 40, so it was 540. That was a repeated question. And that would be the end of January 2022. Let's go to May, June 2021. So May, June 2021, paper 1. Consumer arithmetic number 13 to 20. This one here, this is a repeated question. They're asking you for 100 US before the other questions was 1,000, right? And the deduction was 10. So 100 US would be 100 by 2.5, not 2.6 because it's 10% tax. No, so not 10%, 10 cents tax. It would be 250. So the answer is C. Right? If 7,000 is borrowed at a rate of 5% per annum for 3 years, the simple interest is 7,000 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 3 all over 100. Cross out that, cross out that. We did this question already. It was 35. Yeah, 7 5s are 35. You add a 0 multiplied by 3 is D. Right? A dress which costs 180 and they want to find 10% of that. That is $18. Right? This was our next repeated question, which was 50 over 125 multiplied by 100 over 1, which I believe, was it? It's 50, yeah. 5. Hold on. An article was bought for 125 and was sold for 175. So it's 50%. Then 50% over the cost price, which was 125. Right? No, this is 2. Sorry. The answer would have been 40. Right? And that is how you would have done this question. Right? Number 17, the value of a plot of land is 18,000. Land tax charge. We did this question just now. 70 cents per 100. So you're asking how many hundreds it was. It was 180. 180 multiplied by 0.70, which was 126, which is C. Right? They want to know the interest. So your rate is your simple interest by 100 over your principal over time, which is 108 multiplied by 100 over your principal, which is 900 over 3. Cross out that, cross out that. 9 into 9, 1. 9 into 3 is 9 into is 12. 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 12 is 4. The answer is E. 18 is E. For this one, at the end of the year, we did this question already. At the beginning of January 2026 was 10,000. A man is regularly paid $3 per hour up to 40 hours. Overtime is paid twice, so he's paying $6 an hour. If he's paid $2.16, how many $216, how many overtime did he do? So overtime rate is equals to $6, right? Overtime is twice the payment. He's paid $2 and 6. Right. So first, let's find his basic rate. Not basic rate, basic wage. Sorry, that would have been 120. His overtime wage would have been 216 minus 120, which is 6, 9, 10, 11, yeah, 9, 190. No, it would be $96, right? So $96, and then $96. How many sixes in 96? So number of hours would be 96 divided by 6. Did I subtract wrong? 216 minus 120 is 96 divided by 6 is 16. So the answer is B. And that would be the end of May, June 2021. Let's look at January 2021. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, number 13 to 20. For every $100 sales that is paid $10, right? Well, part thereof, we did this question already, and if I recall, the answer was 110. It was how many hundreds are there in 1,050? It's 10.5, and part thereof is still paying $10. So that's 10 by how many hundreds in the counting the part as one as well. So that would be 11 hundreds by 10, which would be 110, right? Yeah. D, at a store, sales tax is charged at a rate of 2% on the cost price of an item. On a sale, what the sales tax on a dress, which costs 180, so they want to say 2 over 100 multiplied by 180 over 1, cross this off, 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 10, 5, 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 18 is 3. You're looking for 1.3, that's A, right? They just want the sales tax, so it's A. Right, this one here, we did this already. How many? It would be A, 20, 10 US would give you 25 EC. Right, can't be this, can't be this, can't be this. A calculator. This is a repeated question. The change is $16. We know that the cost of the calculator, if paid cash price, was 84. 84 subtracted from 100 is 16. A loan was 8,000 was paid in 2 years for monthly install. We did this question. The percent interest was 2,000. If I am no, how many 2,000? It was 20%. If I'm not mistaken, 24 by 400 was 9,600. We saw that he had a low interest of 1,600. 1,600 over 8,000 multiplied by 100 over 1 is 20%. Right, a car presently valued at 12,000 depreciates at a rate of 10% per annum. What will be the value of the car after 1 year? This is a repeated question. It can't be this. It depreciates in value. So anything more than this will be out of it. We found 90 over 100 multiplied by 1,200. 12,000, sorry. Cross out, cross out, cross out. It will be 108. 10,800, right? How much will he pay when he uses? Right. If you guys remembered, right, this was usually the answer, right? And the answer for this was D. How did I know that? If you remember the question, in the question they used to tell you that the amount paid, the total amount paid was $178.75, right? And if you want, we can do it if you want, but I'll just talk it out, right? For 55,000 meters cube of gas, it was costing 150, I believe. Yes, it was 150, and then you add 1375, and that is how you get this answer. Yeah, 150. Hold on. It was not 150, it was 165. And then 165 plus this amount would give you this. Right? We can check that out if you want. I will put the answer, the work in here. Right? If 200 is 60 cents, then 1 would have been 60 over 255,000 would have been how much for 1 multiplied by that. When you multiply, you'll get 165. The fixed amount would be this amount plus 1375, which is this amount. This $178.75. If borrow, number 20, if $7,000 is borrowed at a rate of 5% for 3 years, we just now did this question. We had, it was 35, 350 multiplied by 3, which was D. The answer was D, right? And that is the end of January 2021. Let's look at January 2020. Right. So paper 1, consumer arithmetic, number 13 to 20. 20 US would have been, sorry, 20 EC is $8. This one here, the simple interest of 600 for T years. We want to know what is T. T would have been simple interest multiplied by 100. This is supposed to be 120, by the way. Not because look at it now, the answer is supposed to be 120. 120 by 100 over 600 by 5, which is E. Right, then given that y varies directly to x, so y is equal to x, kx, when y is 19, this is equal to k by 152. So k is equal to 19 over 152. When we find k, k is going to be 1 over 8. So if they want the representation between y and k, it would have been c. Y is equals to kx. K is 1/8, so it will be 1 over 8x. Number 16, the value of an annual salary is, we did this question already as well. I believe the answer was 6,400, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The taxable income was 3,200. 20% of 3,000, 32,000, sorry, was this, right? So if I do the question already, I'm just gonna take the answers and that of what I have already, the working for it, and just put it, right? Number 17. Right. We just now did this question. The answer is A, right? The amount that he paid for 6,000 for 55,000 was $165,000. So 165 plus the fixed amount would give you $178.75, right? So this would be your working for it. We just now did this question. The answer was the answer for this is 108. Right? You find 90%, which is how much the value of the car is worth now. 90% of this, that's 108, and you add 2 zeros, so A is your answer. Right? A dinner of a restaurant was advertised at $60 plus 18% tax. What is the total bill? So anything more than 60, right? So it can't be A. So 18%, so the total bill, let's find tax. 18 over 100 multiplied by 60 over 1. Cross that out, cross that out. This is 3. This is 5. 18 by 3 is 8 3s are 24. Hold on. 8 3s are 24. 1 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5. 54 over 5, which is 10.80. So the total bill would be 60 plus 10.80, which is $70.80. Right? What will he actually pay? So if he's getting a discount of 10, we know that the discount is going to be 10 over 100 multiplied by 80 over 1. Cross out, cross out, cross out. So he's getting $8 off, but he wants to know what will he actually pay after discount. Is going to be 80 minus 8, which is 72. So the answer is C for this question. Right, and that would be the end of January 2020. Let's look at May, June 2019. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, number 13 to 20. If TT is 6 is equivalent to 1 US, then how much is 15? So first off, you're going to look at 25, right? As I said, it is faster to convert the US to TT, right? So we know that $2.50 multiplied by 6, 6 twos are, so most likely the answer is C, right? If you multiply these values by 6, which one will give you $15? C is the only one that will give you. If you multiply 4 by 4, 6 fours are 24, so it can't be D, right? It cannot be this, it cannot be this, it has to be C. If 7,000 is borrowed at a rate of 5% interest per annum of 3 years, we did this question, the answer is D. We said 7,000 by 5 by 3 over 100. You'll get 70 by 5 by 3. We say 7 5s are 35, 35, so that's 350 by 3, which the only one is 10,000, 1,050. Right, the amount of the discount, 10% of 180 is $18. We did this question already. If I'm not mistaken, the value of a plot of land is 18,000. Land tax is 70 cents for every 100. We asked how many hundreds. That's 180 multiplied by 0.70, which is 126. Right. At the end of the year, the car is worth. This is a repeated question. At the end of the year, the car is worth 5% less than what is worth at the beginning of the year. If the car was worth 9,500, then at the beginning of the year, it was 10,000. Right? A loan of 8,000. This is our next repeated question. The interest was 1,600, and it was 1,600 over 8,000 multiplied by 100, which is 20%. Right, number 18, the dinner at the restaurant was advised at 60. We just now did this question. We found 18% of 60, which was 1080, and you got 1080 plus 60 was 7080. Right, this one is our next repeated question. We know that one book was $23. That was before discount, and after, no, sorry, that was after discount. $23 was after discount. So before your discount would have been D, $26. And that is how you would do this question. And that would be the end of May, June 2019. Let's look at January 2019. So January 2019, paper 1, consumer arithmetic, numbers 13 to 20. Whoa. 13. A store officer offers a discount of 15% on the total bill to customers who spend $20 more. If a customer total bill is 80, how much must she pay? So they're asking you 15. If they pay more than 20, 80 is obviously more than 20. So 15% of 80. 1 second. 15 over 100 multiplied by 80 over 1. Right? Alright, we say 20 into 1 second. 20 into 8. 20 into 80 is 4. 20 into 100 is 5. 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 15 is 3. He's getting a 12, the customer's getting a $12 off. So it will be, amount paid is going to be 80 minus 12, which is equals to 68. So the answer is, which one is 68? C. At a store, sales tax is charged at a rate of 2% on the cost price of an item. The sales tax on a dress was 180. So we want to find, we did this question already, 2% of 180. 2 into 100 is 50. cross this off, is $3.60. This was a repeated question. A plot of land is 18,000. Value tax is 126. Is whoa. This is a variation of a question that we have done. If we remember the question, we know that it was 7%, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 7%. Or was it 0.7? Let's do it. Right? We know what is the rate of percent per annum. So we know that your tax percent is over off. Is 126 of 1800. So your tax is going to be 126 over 1800, 18,000 multiplied by 100 over 1. Cross this off, cross this off. Um, yeah, we can say 126 divided by 180. Alright, we can say 18 into 126 is 7, 18 into 180 is 10, so you'll get 7 over 10, which is 0.7, so the answer is B. Alright, this is a new question. The interest rate of $1 is $2.70 in oh, no. Yes, it is. It's a kind of different question. So 1 US is 2,670, sorry. They want to know what is $4.50 US, which would be 270 multiplied by 450. 4 twos are 8, so you're looking for something a little bit more than 8, right? When you multiply it, you don't have to multiply the completing. You just multiply the major ones. You're looking for something over 8, so it's not A, not B, not C. It has to be D, right? You can multiply it out. If you're good at faster at multiplication, you can multiply it very quickly, but the answer is D for this one. Right, for number 17, a man's annual salary. We did this question already, and I believe the answer was B. His tax was his let me make sure I'm telling you this correct. His tax was 17. His taxable was 32,000, and then we found 20% of 32,000, which is 6,400. Right? And that would have been the answer for this one. A television set cost $350. We did this question, right? This is a repeated question. We saw it a good few years, especially in the newer years. We saw that the answer was 45. Right? It would have been 35 plus 360. 12 by 30 is 360, which is 395. The difference between 395 and 350 is 45. That's how you would have done this question, right? Let me give you guys the working for it. Right, this would have been the working for it. Let's go to number 19. Number 19, this is a repeated question, I believe. Yes, the answer was $178.75. Right, the working for this. Should I do it? This question is a repeated question. Right, we found out for the 55,000 was 165. Right, and 165 plus 13.75 is $178.75, right? Item 20, this is a new question. Item 20 refers to the following table, which shows the rate charged by an insurance company. How much will a person pay for insurance if his house is valued at 50,000 and its contents is 10,000? So house insurance is for every $100 is 25 cents. So let's find out how many hundreds are in 50,000. We know it's 500. 500s are 500 is the number of hundreds we have into 50,000. So multiply that by 0.25, which would be 125. Right? Then this one, how many hundreds are there in 10,000? We know that there are 100 tens. sorry, 100 hundreds in 10,000. So 100 multiplied by 0.50, which would be $50. You add these two up and you're gonna get 175. So the insurance, how much would the person have to pay? 175. And that is the end of January 2019. Let's look at May, June 2018. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic, number 13 to 20. Let's look at this one. Man's taxable income is 20,000. He pays a tax at 28%. The amount of his income is not. This is a new question. Let's look at this question here. We want to know his tax. Sorry, my pen. His tax is going to be 2,800 multiplied by 20,000. Crosses off. This is 28 multiplied by 200, which when you're doing it, put this in your mind, 28 by 2 multiplied by 100, 28 by 2, 8 twos are 16, 2 twos are 4, 5, 5, 6, and you add to 0, so the answer would be C. Right, a man's, we did this question already, it's 192, his total wage is 192, right? Overtime would be 32.50, and then his basic wage is 160, so his total is this. Right, let's do a next here. This is a repeated question, we only saw it once, it was 250, right? TT to US, it was 250. Right, then we have an annual interest rate on a 15-year mortgage on a house assessed at a value of 450,000 is 5 cents for every dollar. It's interest paid on the mortgage for the first year. So we know, right? This acts for the first year, right? So now it's 5 cents on every dollar. So 0.505 over a dollar to percent. It's easier to deal with percent. It's 5%. Right? So they said that it's 5% for, so it's 5 over 100 multiplied by 4,500,000. 20, cross that out, 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 45 is 22, remainder 1,500. So it is going to be 22,500. Wow, okay. That is the interest for the the first year. Number 17, Mary invested 200 for 5 years at 5% per annum. John invested 500 at the same rate. If both received the same amount of money in simple interest, how much years did John invested? So first off, Mary invested 200 for, is that 5 years? 5 years at 5% per annum over 100. 5 twos are 10, that's $50. They said that John invested, is that 500? Right? His, his principal is 500. They say that he received the same amount, so his simple interest would be 50. His rate is equal to 5%, right? So yeah. And they want to know the time. We know time is simple interest multiplied by 100 over principal multiplied by rate. Right, cross this off, 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 50, 10, 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 10, 2, so the answer is A. A salesman sells, this is a, was it a repeated? Yes, this is a repeated question. A salesman sells cars for 11,000. say a salesman sells a car for 11,000. If he's paid a commission of 4.5% for the first 10,000 and 7.5 for the remainder, we know the remainder is 1,000, so 7.5. So we said it was, excuse me, 4.5 for the first 10,000 was 450, and then 7.5% of the 1,000 would have been 75. 45, 450 plus 75 is 525. Alright, so the answer for this is 525. B. Alright, let's look at number 19. This is a repeated question. This is the, she would have saved $45. Yeah, she would have saved $45. We did this question already. We know the higher purchase was $395. So the amount saved would have been $395 minus $350, which is $45. Right? Then this one, Mrs. Jones bought a car for 64,000. The car depreciates by 20% in the first year and then 10% each of the following years. What is the value of the car at the end of the second year? So first off, after the first year, hold on, the first year would be 64,000 multiplied by 20%, right? So this would be, what is all of this? This would have been, you add two zeros, 6, 4 twos are 8, 6 fours are 12. This would have been how much it depreciated by. So the value after the first year would have been 64,000. Subtract 12,800, which is 500 and 51,200. Right, then for the second year, it would be 51,200 over 1 multiplied by it depreciating by 10%. Cross out, cross out, cross that out. We see that the value it would depreciate by is 5,120. So the amount that the car would worth would be, it is now worth 51,200 and it is depreciated by 5,120, which would have been given you C. Right, and that is how you would do this question. That is the end of May, June 2018. Let's look at January 2018. January 2018, paper 1, consumer arithmetic. This is 15 to 22. Right, the simple interest for 6 years, simple interest of 600 for 4 years at a 5%, 5 cents, 5% per annum would be 6 by 4 by 5 all over 100, which is E. E is the answer for this one. Oh, a pen. This one here, 3.25% of 500, which is 3.25 over 100 multiplied by 500 over 1. Cross out, cross that out. 5 threes are 15. So it would be, but then 5 by 25 is 125. So it would have been $16.25 for D. Right? Then we have number 17. Mrs. Joan has 200 to change to TT. The bank gives her a $6.20 TT for 1 US and charges $2.50 for the transaction. So first let's find out how much is the $200. So 200 US would be 200 US is equal to 6.20 multiplied by 200 over 1. Well, I mean 200 over 1, but 200. 6 twos are, that is 62 by 2. This is how we would do it. 62 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 100. And then remember, you have to carry let's say 620. Multiply by 2, multiply by 100, and when you get your answer, you have to carry it back 2 places. So that's 6 twos, 2 twos are 4, 6 twos are 12. You add your 1, 2, 3, 3 zeros. Then you carry back 1, 2, so it is 1240, so 1,240. Alright, and then you have to subtract that $2.50. Alright, so we are looking at 1 second. When you subtract this, we are looking at $1,237.50. So that's E. This is a repeated question, so I won't be doing it over. It's D, right? 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours multiplied by $5 over time, right? Would give you 32.50. Add 32.50 to 160, which is $192.50. Right? That is this here. 19, sorry, a dinner at a restaurant of $60 plus tax is a repeated question. We found 18% of 60 is 10.80. You add it to $60, which is $70.80. A store offers a discount of 10% to customers who paid more than $20. If the customer bill is $80, what will he actually pay? You found 10% of 80, which was $8. Sorry, yeah, 10% of 80, which is $8, and then you subtract it from 80, which was 72. Right, if you want to see the working for the tax question, it would have been this right here. It would have been 1080, sorry, let's just repeat this. It would have been 1080. Right, and then you would have gotten 60 plus 1080 is $70.80. This one here, it would be, a discount is 80, sorry, your discount is 10% of 80, which is 8, so he will pay 80 minus 8, which is 72. Right, number 21, a salesman sells a car for $10.50 if he's paid a commission of, this is a repeated question, of 5% for the first 10,000 and 8% for the remainder. So it's 5% of 10,000 is 500, and then the remainder was 500. 8% of 500 was 40. 500 plus 40 was 540. So B is your answer. Right, let me just... So 540. We just now did this question. We said that Mrs. Jones buys a car for 64,000. The car depreciates at 20% in the first year and 10% in each of the following years. The value of the car, we said 20% of 64 was, I believe it was 12,800. So the value of the car would have been like 51,200, and we found 10% of that, which is 5,120. So you would have gotten this as your answer. Hold on. Right, so when I subtracted this, you are going to get an answer of 4680. $46,080, and that is the answer for, that is the end of January 2018. Let's look at May, June 2017. Paper 1, Consumer Arithmetic 15 to 22. Address which costs 180, you get 10% discount. That would be 10% of 180, $18. The value of a plot of land is 18,000. The tax was 70 cents per hundred, how many hundreds you have in this? That would have been 180 multiplied by 0.70, which is 26. 126, sorry. At the end of the year, cars with 5% less than what it was worth at the beginning of the year. If at the end of the year is 95, then the beginning of the year would be 10,000. This is a repeated question. A man bought a mobile phone for 800 and sold it for 1,000. What is the profit as a percentage of the cost price? We know that the profit would be 200, so profit percent would be 200 over your cost price, which is 800 multiplied by 100 over 1. Cross out, 22, 1, 28, 4, 44, 1, 100, 25. So the answer is D, 25%. A man annual salary, this is a repeated, is it? A man's annual salary is 45,000. His tax-free allowance is 13,000. No, this is not a repeated question. It looks like one of those, but it's not. Right? His taxable is still that 32,000. Right? So his taxable would be 45,000 minus 13,000, which is 32,000. Right? And then we have to find his what you call it? The tax he pays would be 35% of 32,000, which is 35 multiplied by 32 multiplied by 10. Right? Because 320 is 32 by 10. When you multiply this, you are going to get an answer of 11,200. So the answer is B. The simple interest on a loan is 6,000 for 3 years was 900. What is the rate? Rate is equals to simple interest multiplied by 100 over principal multiplied by time. So rate is equals to simple interest, which is 6,000. Sorry, no. It's 900. 900 multiplied by 100 over 6,000 multiplied by time of 3. Crosses off, crosses off, crosses off, crosses off. 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 90 is 30. 6 into 6, 1. 6 into 30 is 5. So the answer for this is 5% for 20. For number 21, this is a repeated question. The answer is 45. We know that the higher purchase was 35 plus 360, which was 395. Difference between 395 and 350 is 45. So the answer is 45 for this question here. Right, this is the work in here. How much does a customer pay for an article at $50 if the sales tax of 6% is charged? So that's 50%, not 50%, $50 multiplied by 6%. Not this. $50. 50 into 51, 50 into 100 is 2, 2 into 2, 1, 3 into 6 is 3. So it would be a sales tax. So yeah, addition. So 50 plus 3 is 53. So the answer is C. Right, and that would be the end of May, June 2017. Let's look at January 2017. Alright, paper 1, consumer arithmetic numbers 15 to 22. Right, this is a, ooh, no, it is not. The cost of the calculator exclusive of sales tax is 120. Susan bought a calculator and paid a sales tax of 120. How much change would she receive from a 140? So first off, let's find out her sales tax. So the tax is 10 over 100 multiplied by 120 over 1. Cross out, cross out, cross out. That's 12. Alright, so then we're seeing that she has to pay amount to pay is 120 plus 12, which is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, 132. So difference is equals to 140 minus 132, which is equals to 8. So A is your answer. Number 16, at the end of every year, Kyle was. This is a repeated question, right? So at the end of the year is 95,000, 9,500, sorry, 9,500. So at the beginning of the year would be 10,000. B. Number 17, an article bought for 125 was sold for 175. What is the profit? So first off, the profit is $50, and they want it off the cost price, which is 125 multiplied by 100 over 1. 25 into 52. 25 into 125 is 5. 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 120. 2 by 20 is 40. This is a repeated question. This is our next repeated question. D is the answer, 45. We know that the higher purchase price was 360 plus 35, which is 395, and the difference between 395 and 350 is 45. So this is your answer right here. Alright, number 19. This is a repeated question. It's a variation of that question. A company employs 12 gardeners at $26 per day and 18 clerks at 17 per day. What does it mean? If we remember, it was 2240. If you guys recall from one of the earlier years, we saw that they gave us the mean and they told you it was 17. We had to find out how much the clerks were working for, which was $17. So this is why I can say that the answer is 2240, but we can find it out. We know that one gardener is $26, so 12 gardeners would be 12 by 26, which is equal to 312, and one clerk is 17, so 8 clerks would be 8 by 17 is equals to 126. So the total would be 313 plus 126, which is 438. So the mean is equals to 438 divided by 20, because that's how much persons it is, which would be 2240. And that is how you would do this question. What does it mean? Right? We did this question just recently. We said how much hundreds in 50,000. It was 500, so it would have been 500 multiplied by 0.25, which is equals to 125, and you add your two zeros. 5 by 25 is 125. I carry it back, so it's 125. And then how much hundreds in a thousand? 10,000 would be 100. 100 by 0.50 would be 5, and you add your two zeros. Sorry, it would be 50 by 100, which is 5000, or 5000, and carry back two places. So it would be your total insurance would be 125 plus 50, which is 175, which is E. Right, and this is the last two questions. If the simple interest for 800 for 3 years is 54, what is your rate? What is the rate? We know rate is equals to your simple interest, 54 times 100 multiplied by, sorry, over 800 multiplied by 3, cross that out, cross that out. 3 into 8 into 54. 1 second. Let's go 3. 3 into 3 is 1. 3 into 54 is 18. Then 18 over 8 would be 2 1/4, which is B. Tom bought a pen for $60 and sold it for 20% gain, a gain of 20% on the cost price. How much was money did he gain? So the profit would be 20% multiplied by the cost price, which is 60. 6 twos are 12. So what is the profit? $12. And that would be your answer. And that is the end of this lecture. Not lecture, sorry. That is the end of this of Consumer Arithmetic, January 2025 to um 2017. Paper 1 CSEC Math.